Well, we are now live on all of our platforms, and howdy doody to all you guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I appreciate you all being here on this fantastic, beautiful Friday evening. So there we go. I am happy to be here, and I'm really happy that you are here with us. So let's just get the business aspects out of the way so we can get into the meat and potatoes of the conversation that we're going to have today. So first of all, I want you to go to the website, to the folks who sponsor the shows here. That is kgradb.com, kgradb.com. And I want you to subscribe. They have all kinds of paranormal shows there. They're really cool shows. Yep, the Sacred Division airs there as well. Sacred Division is the name of the show that I've been actually doing since 2003. It just dawned on me, 20 years. It just hit me. I have been doing the show, the Sacred Division, for 2 decades now. Wow, that is insane to think about. That's actually when I started the Sacred Division radio show. That's when. Wow, 2 decades. Well, it's our 2-decade anniversary, 20-year anniversary. Good God. So anyway, of course, the show airs there, kgradb.com. I want you to subscribe and make sure you put Bishop as your promo code. Okay. And if you put Bishop as your promo code, then there you go. Oh, you know what? You're right. Oh, you're right. Let me hold on. I did something. See, I wasn't. There we go. Okay. There we go. Now I changed it. Now I changed to everybody can chat. Everybody can chat. I had on the chat on TikTok that only sub chat can chats, but now I think there we go. Now everybody can chat. Okay, so make sure you put Bishop as your promo code for kgradb.com. Okay, so make sure you do. You got to remember, there's so much that goes on behind the scenes before the show goes. You guys have no clue of what goes on behind the show, behind the scenes before the show. It's not just a matter of push the start and talk. There's a lot more platforms that we use. It's not just TikTok. TikTok is easy, but there's a lot more that goes on behind. So it's easy to accidentally forget a button. Very, very easy to do. Okay, put Bishop as your promo code for kgradb.com. Now, I also want you to go to my website. People are always asking, what's your website? Well, it's simple, bishopjameslong.com, bishopjameslong.com. Now, there we have a store. You can go to the store. You can sign up for the class. We have a paranormal class. Teach demonology, angelology, paranormal studies, and genealogy. You can click that link under class. So just check it out. Also, we have night prayer. And that's this evening. But go to the church's website, too, at usocc.org. People always ask about the church's website. So just go to the site, usocc.org. And there we go. That's the best place to check us out, and click on the prayer room link. If you click on the prayer room link, it'll take you to the script that we use for night prayer. By the way, night prayer is tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have night prayer Monday through Friday at 10 p.m. And so there we go. Just join us. And of course, for those of you on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and KGRADB, you saw the link there. You can just go to bishopjameslong.com, scroll down to the bottom where it says night prayer and click it. And there it is. So, okay, that's the fun-filled, exciting, all the business aspects of what we have to do. So, thank you very much. Yeah, Meg says night prayer is a beautiful way to end your day. I think so too. There might be, well, yeah, I again, so let me remind everybody before, so people won't have a heart attack. For our Bible study, let me just make this announcement very quickly so that everybody knows there is a change of schedule. Now, normally we have open mic Mondays, where we talk about anything and everything. Miss Wilma comes on and she, we goof off, have a good time. She tells her jokes and God love her. And then we go into the paranormal questions and all that stuff. We're not going to do the shows on Mondays anymore. Mondays are very, very difficult. And so we've decided to put, the show on Saturday at 8 o'clock at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. By I presented this to the moderators to say, hey, can you guys be there? And go from there. I mean, the schedule is what it is. But we just think that there's a lot of people on TikTok on the weekend and even on Facebook on the weekend and social media on the weekends that they just can't catch it on Monday evening. So we're going to be live tomorrow from now on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That will be open mic Saturdays. So the Mondays are no longer, we're cutting that. So we're not going to be live on Monday anymore. It'll be Friday. But the Sacred Division stays. That won't change. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then and then of course we have, unless at 8 o'clock, slot opens up or something. But otherwise it's Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's open mic, and we'll talk paranormals. Miss Wilma will come on for about a half an hour or so. We'll joke around for the first half an hour. And then I'll get to all your paranormal questions and demonology and that stuff. Now, Bible studies will say that we're not changing. It's staying Sundays and Wednesdays. But because there are so many rude comments and just very distracting, and it's upsetting even to the moderators, because the moderators really can't enjoy Bible study, we are going to have subs only. So people who subscribe to the channel on TikTok will be able to comment on Bible studies on Sundays and Wednesdays. I hate doing that, but really, we're the one dealing with it, not anybody else. So if you're brand new here, I don't want to hear, well, that's not fair. That's not fair. Well, it's also not fair of me constantly being called a child molester on Sundays and Wednesdays, because that gets a little old. So we just had enough. Enough is enough. So on Sundays and Wednesdays, the comments will be strictly to people who subscribe to the channel. That's the way it's going to be on Bible study. So yeah, it's, and then of course, like I said, Mondays is it's terrible. Some of the comments are just so god awful. I mean, just man, they're terrible. And of course, the moderators can't enjoy Bible study because they're constantly having to block or mute people because of vulgar language and just really bad things, bad stuff. So anyway, that is what I wanted to pass on to you guys. We'll be here tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with open mic Saturday. And then on Sundays, we'll have Bible study as usual. Okay, there we go. That's what it's going to be. And that's how we are going to handle our new schedule. All right. Just remember that this, is there somewhere I can write you? Folks, the problem is I'm one person. I know people want to write me, but I have over 12,000 messages on TikTok, and that's my email, 5,800 emails. And that's in 2 days. So I can't keep up. I just can't. So I tell people you can write me on Facebook. If I had a staff, it would be easier. I don't. The staff is me. I'm the staff. So I have to answer all the emails and go through everything. And I can't be expected. I can't. So you can try. I do need a team, but I volunteer. This is a volunteer ministry. So it's hard to find people who are willing to dedicate their time and effort. And not only that, but some of the emails are very, very serious. I'm very serious. And so I have to keep, the confidentiality in mind too. And well, thank you very much, Dalton. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So you're all welcome. I want to say everybody is welcome here. No matter what your faith is, or lack thereof, or whatever it might be, everyone is welcome here. However, here's what we require. In order to be a part of our small community, we just ask that you just be kind to one another. That's it. Don't curse at one another. Don't blaspheme. Don't mention demonic names. Please don't spam. There's no need to. If the moderators answer your questions, because they're here every show, so they know what they don't know everything I'm going to say, but when it comes to demonology and questions that I've answered a million times, they know how I'm going to respond because the answer doesn't change. So if they give you an answer, if you've asked a question and a moderator answers it, that's your answer, because they're here. They're here every single show. So just no, spamming is constantly asking the same question over and over and over and over and over, even if when I answer it or if a moderator answers. That's it. It just please don't do that. Of course, also advertising. Just don't do that. Okay. That is all the negative stuff. Plugging is like plugging is advertising. Like if you're plugging an event or a website without permission, that's spamming, and it's disrespectful also. So just don't. Oh yeah, it's going to be 60 degrees in Kentucky Tuesday. Guess where I'll be? Yeah. I tell you what, Maria, but it's going to be 19 tonight. So I couldn't get my walk in today outside. So I had to walk on the treadmill. I hate it. But anyway, that's where it is. So, okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, please share the video, and please like the video on TikTok. I really do appreciate that. So again, I want to remind everybody, because I know I'm going to be yelled at one more time. We will be live tomorrow night on Saturday, and we will not be live on Mondays anymore. Okay? So, because I'm sure, yeah, sure, Dave. That's a fine question. Why am I asked? Why David's asking? Why can't I mention demonic names? That's a fair question. And I think David, I didn't get your last name. But there's someone answered. David MC 2596, because it is a form of conjuring. Because if I say David MC on TikTok, well, David, now you and I have a connection, because you can hear what I'm saying. I've acknowledged that you exist. You've acknowledged that I exist. So we now have that connection. There's no reason whatsoever. There's no reason at all for you mentioning demonic names. What earthly reason would there be for you to mention a demonic name? Well, unless you're performing an exorcism, there's no reason for it at all. So that's why I tell people, don't do that, because it serves no purpose other than making a connection with that demonic entity. So you just simply don't want to do that. That's it. You just simply don't want to do that. Someone asked me about the background. I know there's a little, you guys can't see it there. Well, there we go. There's you see a little pumpkin there. Really, I could change the background. I have another background like this. I might put that up instead of that one. But I don't know. It's Halloweeny, I guess. It's a Paranormal Friday thing, so it's kind of hard to find a background that will fit well with paranormal. So yeah, it's a kind of it's a pumpkin. What are you gonna do? So anyway, yeah, Malachi Martin, sure. Yeah, says the question is, have you heard of Malachi Martin? Yeah, Malachi Martin was a priest in the Roman Catholic Church. He was the exorcist in the Vatican, the chief exorcist, actually. And you have to understand that Malachi had left the priesthood because he wanted to get married, and which is fine. But he continued doing his ministry. And so, The Hostage to the Devil was a book that he wrote. And I would encourage you, if you've not read it, I would certainly encourage you to do that. It's called Hostage to the Devil. What do you think about the last Pope prophecy from Malachi? People were prophesying. They were saying that Pope John Paul was going to be the last Pope. And because I remember it vividly. Then they were saying that Benedict was the last Pope. Now they're saying Francis is the last Pope. And let me give you a little hint. When they, vote in a new Pope after Francis, guess what's going to happen? People are going to say this is the last Pope. They've been saying that since Vatican II. So many people absolutely were convinced that was the end of the church age because the Vatican II change, and that was it. The church was coming to an end, that pope was the last pope. They were absolutely convinced. Well, here we are again. I mean, so I'm just, you just get, folks, I give you my word. The next pope, people will say he's the last pope. And then the pope after that, they will say he's the last pope. They've been saying this for years, for decades. So there we go. And again, people are always asking me about the end times. Folks, listen, you may not know because perhaps maybe you've never seen my presentations. I am teaching Revelation. I'm teaching it. I'm actually teaching verse by verse. I go through it painstakingly. I've started January the 8th. I just started last month. And we're in Revelation 4, chapter 4. So we're not too deeply into it. Folks, join us. And you're going to learn. Then you won't have to worry about, are we in the end of time? So I will tell you what all the symbolism means. I will tell you what it doesn't mean. You'll learn. And so that we do this on Sundays at 8 o'clock and Wednesdays at 8 o'clock. And if you miss a show, you can go on my Facebook, or you can go on my YouTube page. So please, these constant questions about, are we at the end of time? No, we're not there yet. Now we are at the end of the church age, and I said that's recently at our this past Wednesday. I believe that's where we are in. But Revelation clearly speaks about there will be 10 world leaders. And one out of those 10 world leaders, one will rise up, depose, kill the other three of them, 7 will remain, and that will be ultimately the Antichrist. We haven't gotten there yet. We're just not there yet. So I explain this in a great detail. So if you want to learn, then there we go. Okay. And all right, that's how we're going to do it. Well, thank you. That's very nice. Luis, or is it Luis? Is it Luis Flores? Bishop, you have truly changed my life. I look forward to your videos always. If you only knew how much you changed me, seriously. Oh, well, thank you. That's very sweet of you. That's very, very, I'm sorry, is it Luis? I can't, the print is so small. It's terrible. You have to have this greeting list. Yeah, Luis Flores. I think it's Louis. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's very, very kind of you. I try to help as many people as I possibly can, and I'm glad that my videos are helping you. And so I appreciate that. I have read the Malachi. I've read the prophecies. I get it, folks. I've read them. I'm not worrying. I'm not worrying. If it happens tomorrow, then I'm ready to go. Guys, just relax with this doomsday and relax with the end of the times. You can't control it. You can't change it. We are already in motion. There's nothing you can do to change it. There's nothing you can do to stop it. So there's no reason to worry about it because we can't change it. So here's what we need to do. Just show love. Just be compassionate. Have empathy. Show empathy towards people. I absolutely believe that Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. I believe he is the Son of God, God incarnate. I am not worrying. If it happens 5 minutes from now, I'm ready to go. I'm not, there's no fear. So just relax, man. Just chill out with the constant worrying. It's not necessary. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Have no fear. There's no reason for you to be so fearful, because if it's going to happen, which it is, it's okay. It's okay. So there we go. Just remember, as I've said before, worry about the things you can control, and you let go of the things that you can't. It doesn't mean you don't care, but you can't control them. So the only thing you can control is how you're going to respond to people. That's it. Okay. All right. Yeah, blasphemy is considered a mortal sin in the Catholic. Well, the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church teaches venial and mortal sin, and blasphemy against the Holy Spirit. In the Catholic Church, again, I'm only teaching you what I've learned, and from my perspective, then we receive the sacrament of reconciliation. Thank you very much, Amal and Elaine. Thank you. So there we go. Okay, tonight I want to talk briefly about the Dybbuk box. Because someone was asking me about that last week, and they really wanted me to go into it and explain a little bit about what is this Dybbuk box, and and if I could explain a little bit about it, and I will. And I'm also going to talk about real life exorcisms that have happened in the past. So legitimate exorcisms that were seen by credible witnesses, and so we'll talk about those as well. And then we're going to I'll get into your demonology questions and paranormal questions. I'll answer questions as well while I'm doing it. So if I'm looking at it and I see it, I'll be able to answer it. So I do want to talk about this because I think it's important, especially when it comes to the Dybbuk box. I do have a Dybbuk box. Now, there are a lot of Dybbuk boxes that are online that are absolute blatant fakes. I mean, just ridiculous. They're just absolutely ridiculous. They're not real. They're actually, stay away from them. Do not go online and buy what someone claims to be a Dybbuk box. Do not do it. Here's what a lot of people don't know it's occurring behind the scenes with these Dybbuk boxes, and they're not Dybbuk boxes at all. But with these fake boxes, what people are doing is some pretty serious summoning of any type of spirit, invitation of any type of spirit, demonic entity that can attach itself to that box. And so there's a lot of form of summoning going on. And then they're selling these Dybbuk boxes, what they claim are Dybbuk boxes, and then people that are buying them. And this is the stuff that I see. So because I get the phone calls. So I'm the one that gets the phone calls from people and telling me, hey, look, this is what I did. I bought it online. I brought it home. And now I'm having major issues going on in my home. What's going on? Is this a Dybbuk box? And so just understand that what you're seeing online, stay away from that. Do not under any circumstances buy a Dybbuk box online, because that's what's occurring now, is people are doing some pretty serious stuff. And one thing that they are doing is the Seal of Solomon is apparently going on big time now behind the scenes, where people are selling these ridiculous Dybbuk boxes, and then they're using the Seal of Solomon to summon a demon, so that for whatever reason, if you want to have a demon for love, or a demon for money, or a demon for fame, or whatever it is, that you can have your own demon so that you can become famous. It is sorcery. It certainly is. And stay away from that. I can look, the thing is I don't have a box. Well, like this. Okay. This is of course, this is one of those passport things, those things you get like a thumb drive or whatever. An external hard drive. So they're just simply boxes, and then people are putting wax candles all over it and putting designs on it, and it's ridiculously stupid. But that's not the issue. The issue is that if I use this box to summon a demonic entity, even though this was not designed to summon a demonic entity, this is an external hard drive. But if I use the box for the sole purpose of summoning a demon, I'm opening a portal. You're buying this with the point, because or you believe this has a Dybbuk, that there's some type of spirit inside attached to this box. So if you're buying it, then you know that you're buying allegedly an item that is haunted. You bring it into your home. Now again, there's an attachment, a demonic attachment to this item. I've summoned it. I've given the invitation. This is a portal. You buy this item, you bring it into your home. Now you have all hell breaking loose in your house, because you're the one that's given the invitation. Well, how did I give the invitation? I didn't say a demon can come home. Yes, the moment that you bought what you thought was a Dybbuk box, in which there is a spirit allegedly attached to it, yes, that's an invitation that a demonic needs. So it's just not something you should play around with. This was actually by Kate Lorenthal, which was very, very good. So let me just talk about this a little bit, the Dybbuk boxes, and then kind of give you an idea of what they are not, and how you do not play with them. I have not opened the Dybbuk box that I have, and I won't. And people say, well, why do you have it? I don't have it in my home. I will not bring the Dybbuk box in my home. I have it because I teach people about these things. They can see them, and it's important for me to show them, this is what it looks like. This is what you do not touch. This is what you do not mess with. And I think it's very, very important that I teach, because people are visual learners, and some people can do it through auditory, something that's fine. Some people learn, you have to visual, some people have to hands-on, some people, we all learn differently. So as an educator, it's my job to teach you and to show you, this is the stuff that it looks like. This is what you stay away from. Yep, and that's right. That's right. It's awareness. That's right. Well, from George is asking, what do I think demons are? Well, that's a fair question. I guess we can answer that question before we get into the Dybbuk box, because it makes sense. Because I've answered this before, and welcome if you've never been here before. I appreciate you being here. From a theological perspective, there are some people say that demons are spirits of deceased evil people. So let me explain this, and I appreciate the question. Yes, actually, Louis, he did. Anton LaVey really have those final words. Yes, he did, because his people who were there, who have converted to Christianity, there were people who were actually in the room on his deathbed, have actually gone on record with given interviews and have said that they heard him say this. Anton LaVey was the founder of Satanism, and then his last words is, "Oh my, what have I done? What have I done? What have I done?" So there were people who are on record that were in the room when he was dying, who heard him say it. So yes, but there are people who will say that demons are spirits of deceased evil people, and actually that is not an old. That's not a new theory. That's a view of Philo, Josephus. And also some early Christian writers, even ancient Greeks even believed that, but that's proven false by Scripture. Because Scripture says evil people are in Hades. We see this in Luke chapter 16, verse 23. Now, there are some saying that they're the spirits of the pre-Adam race. It's the gap theory between Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, and chapter 1, verse 2. When chapter 1, verse 3 describes the recreation. The problem with that view is that it depends on a creation of humanity prior to Genesis 1. There's nothing historically or biblically to speak of that, so that doesn't make sense. Also, there is the theory that demons are the offspring of angels and women. Okay. I've talked about this ad nauseum. But again, there are brand new people that are, so just indulge me, because this is my job as an educator. There are people that are just tuning in for the first time. So there are people who will say they were the Nephilim. Okay. Jesus makes it very clear that angels neither marry nor have children. Furthermore, the theory is that when the sons of God took the women, and that these Nephilim were the offspring of demons and women. Folks, that is the biggest crock of junk. It is the biggest lie. I'm telling you, it is. The whole point of that is to sell a documentary, is to sell a movie, to sell junk, to make you believe that the Nephilim were offspring. They are not offspring of demons and angels. It doesn't exist. And I've told you this before. Genesis chapter 6, verse 4 tells us that the Nephilim existed before the sons of God had relations with women, and after. So therefore, the Nephilim could not have been the offspring from the sons of God to women, because the sons of God, immediately people say, aha, the sons of God, it's referring to demons. No, it's not. Again, you can, if you read the Torah and if you speak to any rabbi, they will tell you the sons of God were not demons. The sons of God were children of Seth. That's not, Seth is the third child of Adam and Eve. The sons of God were not demons. There's nothing at all. That's a made up nonsense. There's nothing historically at all that shows that the sons of God were demons. They weren't. Look, Nephilim means fierce warriors. So it does not mean giants. It does not mean offspring of angels and women. So there we go. That's just nonsense. So again, and by the way, 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 7, Paul tells us not to argue over endless genealogies and the myths of the Nephilim. Because the myths were even then, because it happened in the 3rd and 2nd century BC. And the endless genealogies, because the genealogy goes from demons all the way to Satan. And this is why the book of Enoch is not included into the Bible, because of, first of all, it places all blame of sin on demons. And it takes the responsibility of sin away from humans. So that's incorrect. Demons will absolutely entice you and they will tempt you. Yes, no doubt. Through ordinary demonic activity. But you ultimately choose whether or not you're going to fall through temptation or not. So, the sons of God were children of Seth, who was the third child of Adam and Eve. A rabbi will tell you this, who studied the Torah all their lives. They were not demons. Nephilim does not mean offspring of angels and women. Nephilim means fierce warriors. And they existed before and after the sons of God had relations with the women. So that is ridiculous. Now, theologically speaking, what makes more sense than anything, when you study angelology and demonology, they are fallen but unconfined angels. And we see this. We see this in Scripture. The Torah even refers to this. We can clearly see that from theologically speaking, that is the best view. And that makes the most sense. All right. So when you're talking about the Dybbuk box, a Dybbuk, for those of you who don't know, Goliath, look, people talk about Goliath. Actually, there is a historicist who studied the description of Goliath, because there's actually descriptions of how tall he was. They roughly, there's a debate whether or not he was between 6'8" and 7'2". Now, you got to understand, people say, well, that's a tall basketball player, maybe. That's not, I wouldn't define that as a giant. But if you're 5 foot, if the average person was 5 foot at this time, and you're looking up at a 7-foot person, you consider them a giant. So Goliath was between 6'8" is the lowest I've heard, and 7'2" is the highest. So that is the historicist view of Goliath based on the descriptions we have. And that would make sense. And if you're in David, you got to remember, David was a boy. So David was a very small boy when he slayed Goliath. So that way he was a teen. He was a young teen. So yeah, from their perspective, Goliath was a 7-foot giant. But he was not a 20-foot giant that some people think. See, some people think Goliath was one of the offspring of angels, of demons and women. No, he wasn't. He was 6'8" to 7'2". So again, and you're right. You probably even some could have been 4'8". We just simply don't know how. We have skeletal remains and things of this nature. We know that they were relatively small, 5 foot, 5'2". But if they're comparing to a 7 foot, yeah, you consider that a giant. So there we go. That answers the question about Goliath. Goliath was not 15 foot. Goliath was not 20 foot. That's the thing. People get upset when I tell them this, because it kind of it's like I'm inflating their balloon of conspiracy theory. But I'd rather tell you the truth. What we know historically speaking, it certainly makes it for a more exciting show when I say, oh yeah, he was a Nephilim. He was one of those kids he was one of the offsprings of demons, because then it makes it more interesting, more enticing, more scary. But that would be a lie. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to mislead people. So a Dybbuk, according to research, is a wandering spirit of a deceased person who's been unable to enter purgatory or paradise. Now, the Dybbuk usually enters a low-status member of the Eastern European Jewish Society. And again, this is from a writer, Professor Kate Lowenthal, who studied Dybbuks. And they usually enter women or children being most commonly, in her perspective, possessed. The spirit is usually very badly behaved, notably accusing respective members of the community of embarrassing sexual sins. So the phenomenon actually was reported from the 16th and 19th centuries and disappeared in the early 20th century. And about the period when Dybbuk possession became less common, the Dybbuk theme was often deployed in literature and on the stage. The most famous examples are Ansky's Dybbuk, and also Bashevis, the singer's The Slave. So here's an example of what a Dybbuk possession allegedly, what took place here. A Jewish woman in 18th century Poland was allegedly possessed by a demon. I'm not going to mention the demonic name, which spoke from her throat in Polish. Now, that was not her first language, causing great physical pain. It would allow her to pray. It would not allow her to pray, study sacred texts, or otherwise use holy words or liturgical Hebrew. Would not let her go to the synagogue, and created a shameful disturbance on the Day of Atonement when she did try to go to the synagogue. Now, 3 exorcisms by eminent rabbis were carried out. One rabbi gave her an amulet to wear, and the first 2 exorcisms were only partially successful, and the spirit returned. The final episode was not a typical exorcism. The victim signaled for the lamps to be lit, complaining that she must be a great sinner to have such suffering. And then a third voice, not that of a victim or the spirit, was heard, which sounded disembodied. And so witnesses during this exorcism recognized the voice as that of a famous rabbi who had died some years previously. And the voice said that the woman was a righteous, saintly individual, and that she would get better and would bear a son. Well, she did get better, and she bore a son. Which is very interesting. Another a Dybbuk possession was an alleged possession of idol. Now we'll talk a little bit about this later on. The favored daughter of a Hasidic leader, heartbroken when his beloved wife died, he raised idol as a boy, training her in male practices. Even though he had sons. Now, when he died, his role taken by his son, Rabbi Yahashua, as was common practice, the idol became a rebbe. It's an admor. It's an unknown common practice, and tolerated by the rabbinic establishment. Idol's wisdom and her wisdom was just admired, and some of her father's followers became her followers rather than her brothers. Now, while there is no record of idol claiming to be possessed by her father's spirit, there is a record of her exorcism by her brother. And at first, the accused of these people of embarrassing sins. He retreated, embarrassed, but eventually he identified the Dybbuk as an imposter and succeeded in performing the exorcism. So following this, idol collapsed and never recovered her sanity. And from the evidence available, she was apparently severely depressed. So those are just a couple cases of what you would refer to as a Dybbuk. Now, a Dybbuk is the soul, allegedly, of a deceased person, in which has entered another person prior to heavenly judgment of the soul. Now, both the Dybbuk and the victim remain conscious and coexist in the same body. That is completely different than a possession, which is very interesting when you compare Dybbuks versus demonic. A demonic possession, the victim has no memory of it. They have no memory of being possessed. They do have a memory of what led up to the possession, but they have no memory of the actual stage of possession itself. The victim is typically distressed, and with Dybbuk as well as with demonic. The victim is more likely to be female than male, while the Dybbuk is more likely to be male than female. That is an interesting stat. Special means are necessary to expel the Dybbuk. So features which may present, some people will say, well, that a person who is suffering from a Dybbuk possession really has dissociative identity disorder, which is, as many people know, as a multiple personality. It used to be called multiple personality. But with people who have been possessed with the Dybbuks, the quality of the victim's voice has changed, so they can have higher pitched or lower pitched voices. Speech may not be accompanied by movements or lips or tongue. Knowledge of events very unlikely to be accessible to the victim. So there's a lot of things that will occur when a person is allegedly possessed by a Dybbuk. Now, while Dybbuk possession may be viewed as a form of dissociative identity by some people, the state differs from DID. DID is dissociative identity disorder. Apart from those mentioned above, the key features of a Dybbuk possession is that there are normally only just two persona. Whereas when you have DID, it typically usually involves several or many identities, often with the number increasing over time. So there's a difference between a Dybbuk possession, according to the data that we have, and with dissociative identity disorder. Again, with DID, you usually have multiple identities. Whereas a Dybbuk, you have the person and the Dybbuk. That's it. There are no others. Do you understand the difference between the two? So the Dybbuk became one of the many primitive beliefs in a lot of people, and malign spirits are now reported among Western Jews. They report them as well. It's been suggested that the extreme belief of the possessed in Dybbuk cases were a convenient guide for rebellious acting out. There are some people that just simply do not believe, absolutely are convinced that Dybbuks are real, that they're legitimate. There's a lot of people that are just pushing off to the side and saying, nope, they don't agree with it. Well, thank you, Rezi. I appreciate that. Now, before going any further, note that there are anthropological distinction between possession and non-possession trances. So let me get into that. It's been suggested that these are characteristic different forms of social organization, notably that possession states occur in societies with more complex hierarchical forms of social organization. It's also been suggested that both possession and non-possession states may be malign or benign. Now, I would not agree with that. I think that when you're dealing with a demonic possession, it is very, very aggressive. And but Dybbuk are apparently no longer likely to visit members of Jewish communities, but spirit visitors, past, present, have often been described. So the question is what are they? We simply just don't know. And there's a lot of immigrants from different cultures that will bring in these beliefs of the Dybbuks, but so far we just don't have a whole lot of evidence to show this is what we have and this is what we don't have. Now, there are more contemporary Jewish spirits, and so people can all argue about that. I think that when you're dealing with Dybbuks, the argument that it can be both usually human spirit, but both individuals still have consciousness. Now, with DID, dissociative identity disorder, some people, the host, the person who has control of the body and the brain the most, many times they will say they are co-conscious. So when another identity takes over the body, the host of the body, the primary, the caregiver, the protector, will have co-conscious, is aware of what the other identity is doing while in the body. Now, there are some with dissociative identity disorder say, nope, I'm not co-conscious. With Dybbuk possession, in all the cases that have been studied and documented, it shows that the individual who is the host, the primary person, they are aware of what is occurring during the possessed state. but it's almost that it's a neurological issue where it's like a sleep paralysis, because they can't, they're trying to make their body move or try to make, but they're not in control of their motor functions. The spirit or the Dybbuk is. So that for me has me concerned. That's why a lot of psychiatrists believe that this is not a form of a Dybbuk possession, that they actually believe that this is a form of dissociative identity disorder that has been misdiagnosed, which is very interesting when you see the comparison, because when you see the Dybbuk possession, because I've read cases that are legitimate, and I've some of the things that have occurred, they're very similar to demonic, but the levitation, the markings of the body, even the vocalization. There have been cases where the person would speak in Polish, but Polish wasn't her primary language, but yet she had knowledge of Polish. She had knowledge of the language. So you can kind of argue, well, that's where the issue is. Yeah, it's fascinating. The thing is that you gotta read. I read a lot of articles from people who have PhDs, people who are doing their dissertations in dissociative identity disorder and Dybbuk and possession. It's important to read from credible sources, because when you go online and you read these things from people who just have an opinion, well, you're going to have to back your opinion up with something. So if you're going to have an opinion on it, then what is your credibility behind it? I want to know what is your credibility in psychology. If you're going to make a psychological assessment, well, do you have a PhD? Are you a mental health therapist? Because there's a lot of people who have an opinion on it. Well, I can have an opinion on anything if it doesn't make it a fact. So if you're going to read things on this, make sure you're reading it from individuals who are well-versed, who are educated in the field, who are either writing for their dissertations or who are doing writing in psychology. There's a lot of magazines out there for psychology where you can actually learn a little bit, and that's credible, because you're getting an actual somewhat of a science from when it comes to psychology. So there we go. But it is interesting. It's very, very interesting. I think there's a lot of red flags with Dybbuks. And the biggest red flag is co-consciousness. That to me makes me very, very, very concerned. Also, what makes me concerned is the ability for a spirit to control the body. That is a tremendous amount of energy in order to be able to substantiate that. And as an investigator, I can tell you, I've investigated so many people's homes where there was a human spirit that was present. Very little activity would occur that was, for example, heavy objects being thrown, things of this nature, because it's just too much energy. Human spirits cannot manifest. That's why a lot of times batteries will get drained, because they're trying to take that energy to either move something or push something. That's the theory. So I have not found that human spirits are able to manifest enough energy to, throw a television across the room or a couch or anything like this. Where a demonic entity, they're not dependent on that energy. So that's where the big difference is between the two. And there's some other issues as well. So, okay. So there we go. Well, yeah, there's a lot of people ask me, well, what about the, spirits sleep? Aren't they dead? Aren't they, sleeping and waiting for Jesus? You got to remember, your mind is processing words or thoughts from the perspective of time and space. We can't think of existence outside of time and space. So when I say that to you, even saying that, it's like, okay, we can't conceptualize that because we are restricted. Our very existence is in time and space. I can't be in two places at once. Right now, it is almost 7:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our whole lives, we are restricted. We have this body. We're restricted in time or space. But when you are in spirit form, time and space no longer exist. You exist outside of it. And that's a very difficult concept to understand, because we simply can't until we're there. And that's the perspective. So the question is, are the dead in their grave? No, I do not believe that they are in the grave. Their body is in the grave, but their soul is not, because their soul exists outside of time and space. So can they not be with Christ and be with you at the same time? Well, no, they can't. They can't. Why not? Because they can't be in two places at once. There you go again. Your mind is restricting heaven because you're putting parameters around the afterlife. There are no parameters. Time and space doesn't exist. Okay? So you have to understand, I have done, again, and I'm telling you this from a person who's been in the paranormal field for a long time. I actively investigated for now 2 decades. I have been in many homes. I have seen paranormal activity that was quite limited. And I've also experienced paranormal activity that was very violent. And if you're a paranormal investigator, you know what I'm talking about because you've probably seen it. There is a clear distinction between the two. If you see it, folks, you can't deny it. If you go to a place, a location, and there is paranormal activity, but it's limited, meaning you might have knockings, or you might have something small move, or you might have one of your EMF readers go off, or something of this nature, something that's limited. You've probably seen it if you're an investigator. That's one aspect of the paranormal. Then you go to a haunted location where there's known to be demonic infestation and all hell breaks loose. Things are being thrown. It's a totally different world. And if you're a paranormal investigator and if you're a seasoned investigator, you know exactly what I'm talking about because you've experienced it. I've experienced it many, many different times where I'd go into a home where they had minor activity. The feeling is completely different. The feeling is totally different when you go in cases like that versus going into a demonic case. It's 2 different worlds. And every seasoned paranormal investigator, every investigator will tell you the same thing. When you walk into a demonic case, you know it. You know it. And it is overwhelming. It is intense. The oppression is intense. Versus if you go into a place where it has an alleged human spirit that's present, that's just trying to let you know that they're there. Paranormal investigators, help me out here. If you're a paranormal investigator, why are we talking about Saul? That's interesting. So, I will address it if it's up. But if you're a paranormal investigator, have you experienced this? Have you experienced a place where you've investigated where there was a human spirit? You didn't feel threatened versus a demonic. Can a human soul become demonic? Absolutely, positively not. No, that's a great question. No, a human spirit cannot become demonic. Absolutely, we are two different beings, 2 different species, folks. A cat cannot be a dog any more than a dog can be a tree, or a whale can be a cat. We cannot be a demon. We're not angels. We are created in the image of God. We are God's children. We are not ever going to be a demon. Now, can we be malevolent? Absolutely we can. And there are plenty of malevolent people in this world and even in the afterlife. But we cannot be demons. We're 2 different species, completely different. Okay? Now, but what about the people say, well, what about our loved ones and they're looking after you? Can they be like a guardian angel? They can be like a guardian angel, or they can be your guardian angel. But are they actually an angel like St. Michael, Raphael? No, they're not, because it's 2 different species. So, but can they be your guardian angel? Well, if you're using that term loosely, yes. But if you're arguing literally, can they be an angel? Well, no, they're not an angel. But remember, you still have a relationship with your loved ones who've passed on. That relationship doesn't die just because their body dies, because we know that we're going to be reunited with them in heaven. So the idea that just because they die, we no longer have a relationship with them, that's ridiculous. That's preposterous. If the relationship ends when they die, then when we go to heaven, we're not going to know them. But we know that we will be reunited with our loved ones in heaven. So therefore, the relationship doesn't cease to exist because they're in spirit form. We just have to develop a different relationship with them, because we develop relationships with one another through corporal means where we're bodies. So we see, we touch, we feel. Fine. But now when a person passes on, we have a different relationship with them. We have a spiritual relationship with them. And so please understand that relationship doesn't stop when they pass on. The danger comes in when we try to make contact with the loved one who has passed on. That's where the real danger happens. Why? That's where a lot of people begin to start playing with things that they shouldn't play with, so they can make contact or think they're making contact with your loved ones. You don't need Ouija boards, for example. I cannot tell you how many cases that I've had where people lost a loved one and they just wanted to try to make contact with them. They want to hear their voice one more time, or maybe they just want to hear one message from them. And so they grab a Ouija board because they see it online, and people say, well, I played with a Ouija board for 20 years and nothing has ever happened yet. Remember, demons exist outside of time and space. How many times have I said that? So you could play with the Ouija board 20 years ago and nothing happens. You could play with it for 20 years straight and nothing happens. And you tell everybody nothing's ever happened. That's just stupid. That's ridiculous. But demons, in your perspective, it's been 20 years and nothing's ever happened. So they use that against you, because they know that we live in time and space, that our mind is restricted to time or space. And they also know that it's a vulnerability, and we then let our guard down. We've been doing it for 20 years. Nothing's ever happened. That is a weakness, because then they pounce on that weakness 20 years later, and then all hell breaks loose in your house. And you're wondering, well, what in the world happened? Well, have you done anything ever to make an invitation? Well, 20 years ago, I played with the Ouija board, but that's 20 years ago. 20 years ago to you is 20 long years. 20 years to them is a blink of an eye. It's 20 years. So the false security is believing, in fact, that you can play with the Ouija board and nothing ever happens. And then you tell people nothing ever happens. It's just ridiculous. Don't believe in all the hype. That's what they tell you. But then 20 years down the road, now they're having major activity in their home, and they realize what they have done and what they have told people for 20 years, that nothing's ever happened and the Ouija board's completely safe. It's not. There's nothing safe with using a Ouija board. Nothing. You don't need a Ouija board to communicate with your loved one. You do not. And as a matter of fact, you're not going to get anything good that's going to come from a Ouija board. You're just not. Now, people say, now, wait a minute, Bishop. Hey, now hold on. Paranormal investigators use equipment all the time. Yeah, we do. And I also tell paranormal investigators, investigating the paranormal has elements of danger to it, and you need to understand those dangers. That's why I've been preaching about this for 20 years. That's why I go to paranormal conferences. I teach about demonology, and I teach paranormal investigators. If you're going to investigate, you need to understand that you might just get an answer. And if you get that answer that you don't want, there's not a whole heck of a lot you can do about it. I mean, you can contact clergy to help you to try to fight this, but it can be a long battle. People think that just because they give me a call, or they give another exorcist a call, that somehow the exorcist is going to come over, throw a little fairy dust in their house, and then it's all going to go away. It doesn't work that way, folks. It doesn't work that way. Why not? Because for 20 years, you have been inviting legions upon legions of demons to enter your home with the use of playing with a Ouija board. You have given an open doormat and putting a sign saying on top of the door, come on in. You've been doing it for 20 years now. And now you think that a man or a woman who's involved in this ministry sinners as we are. We try to do the best that we can in life. You think that we're just going to show up, say a few hocus pocus words, and that's going to eliminate the legions upon legions of demons that you have invited into your home for 20 years? It doesn't work that way. It could take years. So, well, thank you very much, DSB. That, thank you. That's very kind. So you gotta know, you gotta understand that, and we simply do not know how many demons there are. We simply don't know. I mean, it just it's innumerable. We just simply can't count the amount of demons. We just don't know. But we know there's high-ranking demonic entities. We know that there are legions upon legions of demons. And for 20 years, if you've done that and you've given the invitation, we can't just walk in and hocus pocus and then they go away. That's a Panda. Panda's asking, Panda 1989, why do people say that hell does not exist? Because when you deny hell, then it denies the accountability of our actions while on earth. If we say hell doesn't exist, it just simply doesn't exist. Heaven exists for everybody, no matter what. You're going to heaven whether you like it or not. You got your ticket. You're going there. You can do it, because then it gives you an excuse to behave unethically or do whatever you want to on this earth. And that universal salvation is for everybody. There's nothing you can do. You're going to go to heaven whether you like it or not. Well, when you start believing in hell, then you have to force yourself to start living in accordance with the life of morality and ethically speaking. If you accept the notion of hell, then you know that there are consequences for your actions. If you deny it, well, then you can act like an animal. Doesn't matter. And there are consequences for our actions. And keep in mind, if you're going to call yourself a Christian, and if you say, well, thank you very much, Don, that's very kind of you. If you're going to call yourself a Christian and then deny that hell exists, Jesus made it abundantly clear that there will be people in Hades. There will be people in Gehenna. There will be people who will be denied entrance into heaven. Jesus said that often. Hell was a big part of Jesus's ministry. Now, I'm not a big person on using, heaven and hell to scare people, but it does exist, whether people like it or not. So, and again, thank you very much. I appreciate the gifts, and I also the hearts. So that's very kind. Thank you. We got almost 75,000 likes. That's pretty cool. Okay, I want to talk about real life exorcisms that have happened historically speaking. Well, thank you there, Lady Bugging. I appreciate that. She just decided she's a new subscriber. Well, thank you for subscribing. Yeah. All saying that all ghosts are demons, it's just simply not true. That's not true, folks. The idea that there's a belief that people say to me all the time, well, all ghosts are demons. No, they're not. They're not. I'm not. No, they're not. All ghosts are not demons. And I've said this many, many times. Write this down, folks. Please write it down. Okay. We know for a fact that the disciples had the concept of ghost. Not demons. I'm not talking about demons. They had the concept of ghost. What does that mean? They then understood what ghosts were, and they obviously believed that ghosts existed. Now, some of you are saying, I've never heard this before. That doesn't sound right. Okay, then read Matthew chapter 14, verse 26. Because remember, when they were on the sea on the fourth night at watch, Jesus went out to them. He was walking on the sea. And it said, when the disciples saw him, Jesus, they were terrified. They screamed out, "It's a ghost." That tells you right there that they had a concept of what ghosts were. They had they believed, obviously, that ghosts existed, because if they did not believe that ghosts existed, then they wouldn't have said it's a ghost. That if they didn't believe it, they would have said, well, it's Jesus or it's a blob or something. I don't know what it is out there. It's a light. That's what they would have said. So we know that they had a concept of what ghosts were. And we also know that by them thinking that Jesus was a ghost, they believe in ghosts. If you didn't believe in Bigfoot and you saw a big creature, you'd say, well, that's probably a bear. I don't believe in Bigfoot. I do believe in Bigfoot, but I'm just saying that's an example. And also, I want to remind you, I want to bring you to a chapter in Luke chapter 24, verse 36 through 51. There's another passage in Scripture when Jesus appeared to his disciples after he was crucified, and it said they thought they were seeing a ghost. And Jesus said, why are you so frightened? See for yourself, touch the wounds. A ghost don't have flesh and bones as you see that I have. Meaning what? That ghosts are spirit. Because if ghosts don't exist, Jesus would have said, don't be stupid, ghosts don't exist. But that's not what he said. Ghosts don't have this, therefore they must have something, which is what? Spirit form. That's logic. It's you have logic 1, 2, and 3. So if you look at it from the perspective, you can clearly conclude that Jesus defined that ghosts exist. The disciples certainly knew that ghosts exist, and they knew the term ghost. So the idea, and also Scripture says to test the spirit. Well, that doesn't make sense. Because if all ghosts are demons, why do you need to test them? There would be no need to test. There's no need to test them. So again, it's important for me to explain this from a theological perspective. I want to just, again, there's so much out there where people have an opinion on something. Thank you there. I appreciate that. They have an opinion, and the opinion is fine. I'm so sorry I can't bring you on. For those of you who are wanting to go live with me, I would love to do that. Maybe at 9 o'clock I can do that, but I can't do it now because we run the show on 2 different computers. For those of you who are new, so here it's Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, KGREDB, and Spreaker, and here is TikTok, and I can't connect the 2 together, so the folks won't be able to hear you or see you. Okay, so there we go. So that kind of gives you an idea. Now, so let's talk about possession and real stories of possession, and go from there. This actually was by Lauren Kahn, and I want to talk about in 1778, long time ago, the exorcism of George Lukens. So maybe on one show I'll actually break them down and actually give a long history of what happened, because when you actually read the case study of some of these, it's crazy. In 1778, English tailor George Lukens was behaving oddly, speaking in strange voices, making inhuman noises, singing hymns backwards. In a ceremony held at Bristol's Temple Church, 7 priests commanded the demons who had apparently taken over Lukens' soul to leave. Well, first of all, that's an article that I'm reading. They don't possess your soul. So understand that. They possess the body, not the soul. So there's a little error there in this article. So I definitely wanted to point that out to everybody. Taking over Lukens' body to leave once and for all. And when the ceremony was over, Lukens recited the Lord's Prayer and thanked the priest. And this is one of the few recorded exorcisms with a happy ending. Now, there's another one in Gottlieb-Dittus. In 1842, German villagers noticed strange goings-ons at the home of a 28-year-old woman named Gottlieb-Dittus. Dittus claimed her house was haunted and soon began slipping in and out of what others described as a trance-like state. But it was only when a religious pastor commenced an exorcism that things went truly nuts. Dittus became violent, requiring physical restraints for 2 torturous years, during which the pastor performed various exorcisms. Writes Dittus vomited glass, nails, and blood, of course. And finally, Dittus informed everyone that the demons were gone and stated that Jesus is victor. Um, there's a lot of theories as to why it would vomit the glass and nails. And one theory is that I believe from many theologians, including myself, is that when a demonic entity possesses the body, they want, during the rite, you command the name and the hour of departure. So first of all, as an exorcist, there's no such thing as having a conversation. That doesn't exist. The rite is very clear about that. You do not, there's no conversation. There's no need to have a conversation. You command in the name of Christ that the demonic entity or entities give its name, surrender its name, and the hour of departure. That's all you want to know. Now, many times when you're beginning the rite, it will say, Lucifer, or it will Satan. It will give you obviously the highest name it can possibly give you to intimidate you. And that happens often. But you continue the rite, and you're breaking the intellect and will of the demon down. And so many times it'll try to blow out the vocal cords. When you hear the loud screaming and the screeching in the multiple pitches, especially with Annalise Mikel, it tries to cause the vocal cords to be destroyed that there's no conversation. A 16-year-old from South Africa, Clara Seeley, was heard making a pact with the devil. Don't do that. That's just stupid. And soon began behaving erratically, tearing at her clothes, growling, speaking in tongues, demonstrating superhuman strength. In 1906 and 1907, 2 priests performed exorcism on Clara, during which her skin burned when touched by holy water, and her body levitated before 170 witnesses. But after a very obnoxious smell was observed, the demonic was observed leaving her body, Clara was deemed free of evil. 170 witnesses saw her body levitate. That's that's insane. Anna Eklund was not her real name, but it's the one people associate with a classic American case of demonic possession, thanks to 2016 horror film, The Exorcism of Anna Eklund. The real girl was actually born in 1882. Her name is unknown. Her father accused her of being possessed by the devil at age 14. She refused his sexual advances. After several years and 2 lengthy exorcisms, interspersed by foul play, thanks to Anna's father's lover, a woman named Mina, who practiced black magic and introduced another demonic possession, Anna was freed of her demons in December 1928. This is a sick case. I've read this case in its entirety, and what this poor girl went through, just nothing less than barbaric. Yeah, but that was in 1882. And I have not seen the levitation that you see in the movie The Exorcist, but I did see levitation of the body. It was in a V-shaped form, to where, and I've said this before, where the head was here and the feet were here, and the body and the torso was here, and the body just went just like that. And I heard the crack in the vertebrae, and I was afraid that the back was going to be broken. I mean, you heard every crack. It was up almost like a V shape. And that's the only form of levitation but it looked like someone had a string or a rope and just wrapped around the waist and just pulled it right up like that. And yeah, that was kind of crazy. Now the next case is I've performed 30 exorcisms on people who are violently possessed. Look, possession is rare. But it does occur. And so, and of course, we all know 1949 Roland Doe. That's the movie The Exorcist is based on his story, which I went to the St. Louis house, and I performed the minor rite of exorcism because the family asked me to do so. And that was pretty intense. What was very interesting, I would never, ever, ever film an exorcism and put it on television. Never. I've never have, never would. And when I was on Exorcism Live, I mean, my gosh, there was a particular church, religious community church that just, I mean, some of his members were vicious, vicious. They went online and said all kinds of horrible, hateful things. Everything, you can call me everything but my name. They were just vicious. And I thought, I'm blessing a house. That's all I'm doing. I'm blessing their home. That's what I'm doing. And yet the church community that they belong to actually have filmed and aired an exorcism on camera, on television. That's okay. But when Bishop Long shows up to bless a house, that's when the gloves come off. It seems a little hypocritical to me. But anyway, Roland Doe was a 13-year-old boy. In the records of the case, his name changed to Roland Doe to protect his privacy. It was mourning the loss of a beloved aunt when he began seeing and hearing strange things because he started playing with the Ouija board. He wanted to contact her. As the possession worsened, Roland began demonstrating violent superhuman strength. His parents took him to St. Louis in 1949 for a weeks-long exorcism, now known as the St. Louis exorcism. And this is the story on which The Exorcist is based. And Roland screamed, cursed, and attacked his exorcist until a miracle, according to The Exorcist, finally led Roland out of his trance-like state. And the boy simply stated, he's gone. Matter of fact, I was on the Booth Brothers, The Haunted Boy. Now, they did a documentary called The Haunted Boy, and I was on there. I've done several documentaries with the Booth Brothers. They do sci-fi, the Sci-Fi Channel. And so if you haven't seen this, take a look at it. It's called The Haunted Boy. It's a very, very good, I think it's a good documentary. Okay. The exorcism, possession is rare. Possession is rare. There's a lot of people that are running around saying it happens all the time. It does not. I have not found that to be true at all. I haven't. 30 exorcisms in 20 years. Now I have over close to 6,000 email messages, 12,000 messages on TikTok, and I don't know how many messages on Facebook. A lot of people telling me that they're possessed. I'm letting you know that 30 exorcisms in 20 years of people who were violently possessed. It is rare. It does happen. I knew Lorraine. I did not know Ed, but I knew Ed through Lorraine because I was friends with Lorraine, but I did not know Ed. Michael Taylor in 1974, when Englishman Michael Taylor, as a husband and father of 5, met 21-year-old pastor Marie Robinson. His frequent bouts of depression seemed to cease. But in part, Taylor believed it was due to Robinson's ability to exorcise demons plaguing him. And, well, thank you very much. That's very nice. Oh, please. Appreciate that. After Taylor's wife confronted Taylor about a possible affair with Robinson, he physically attacked her. This led to an actual exorcism by 2 ministers that took place in 1974. And Michael had seizures, spit and bit at the exorcist, and screamed in tongues. And the next day, he brutally murdered his wife. He wasn't convicted, however, because of the defense argument that the exorcism had made him insane. It's interesting. It's an interesting case. You might want to take a look at that. Michael Taylor. I think it was conveniently used, but yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, we do that, Hetty, at night prayer. Okay. I'm not going to get into specific individuals. People ask me all the time, well, what do you think about this person? What do you think about that person? You know, it's not my place to judge. I don't do that. I'm not here to judge anybody. I don't like anybody performing an exorcism on camera and then putting it all over social media. I've been very vocal about that. I don't like that. It's traumatic. When you are possessed, that the body goes through extreme emotional, psychological, and physical and spiritual trauma. And I just don't like any minister. I don't care what denomination that they are. I don't care. I don't like any minister putting an exorcism on camera, because then that person has to relive that trauma. I mean, they're flipping through the channels, or they're scrolling through, and now that they see their video all over the world. I just think that's wrong. I don't think that's appropriate. I understand that their perspective as well. People want to see it. Well, this is not for entertainment. There are some things that should be left alone, and something that should be sacred. What are we going to do next? Are we going to put a camera in a confessional? Is that next? You see, that's the problem. When you cross those lines and that becomes normalized, then you have to do something bigger than that. Well, now that we've shown exorcisms, what's bigger than that? Well, let's get really juicy. Let's put a secret camera in a confessional. People are confessing their sins. You see, I think that we've got to stop that. Even if people are, let's say that you're not even, maybe you're not Christian, that's fine. I think we can all agree, just from an ethical perspective, there are some lines that we shouldn't cross. Just basic ethical, moral lines. And that's why I will never perform an exorcism and put it on camera and put it on social media. It'll never happen. Under no amount of money, nothing. It's just not right to do. It's not right to do. I just think it's wrong. Yeah. Well, yeah, of course, in taxi cab. Yeah, and that's true. Yeah, the Christian confessionals next on HBO. Yeah, and that's true. Wouldn't that be terrible? But seriously, I mean, that could happen. That could happen. No, yeah. Look, I am very, very skeptical of any type of video where the alleged possessed is speaking about political issues. Those are red flags for me. Big time red flags for me. And but then immediately people say, "See, that's true." Someone was asking there, and there was a question, so I'll address the question about the demon-possessed person, alleged demon-possessed person, where it says that the vaccines were of the devil. Let me say this to you. I am a hospital chaplain. I am there. I start my day at 4:00. I get up at 4:00 in the morning. And I get to the hospital. It's volunteer. Sometimes I'm there 12 to 14 hours a day. Now, I have seen people pass away from cancer. I have seen people pass away from complications from surgery. I have seen people pass away from trauma, heart attacks, strokes. And when COVID was rampant, I saw a lot of people pass away. I am there. I am present. So this is not an opinion based on armchair opinion and not actually physically being there. There is 100% difference, whether you like it or not. And I'm not going to, let's please, can we take politics out of it for the love of God? Not everything has to be about politics. I see it. I am the one administering last rites to these people. And I am telling you, as clergy, as a hospital chaplain, there is 100%. I mean, it is black and white. Since the vaccines have come out, the death rate from those having COVID have dramatically decreased. Folks, stop with the politics. Because actually, you may be surprised what my politics are, what my political views are. Some of you may think I'm ultra-conservative. Some of you may think I'm ultra-liberal. Some of you may think I'm moderate. You don't know because I've never told you, and I never will. And the reason being because I don't want to influence your thinking or make you think that you can't approach me if you're ultra-liberal or ultra-conservative. I want you to know that anybody can come to me and speak to me without me throwing judgment or shade, as they say. I'm just telling you, folks, I'm there. I'm at the hospitals. I'm seeing it. Okay, so I'm seeing it. And it was to a point, and again, before the vaccines, my God, it was so bad. Chaplains were quitting because it was too much. I mean, the death rate, it was too much. But whether you like the vaccines or not, I'm telling you what we have seen. And as a person who administers last rites to people who are dying, there is a dramatic decrease in administering the last rites since the vaccines. Take that as you see fit. But that is, again, I'm not one time did I mention Democrat, Republican, Independent, Moderate. I'm just telling you, that's what I've seen. That's it. Okay? So there we go. See, again, seeing you're wrong. See, this is what I'm saying. Vaccines don't change anything. Then come with me. I tell you what, Scene, come with me, and I'll take you to the hospital with me when I leave at 4:00 in the morning. You come with me, and I will take you to the hospital, and you can shadow me. And then you can make an opinion based on fact, not an opinion. And anyway, so no matter what I do, no matter what I say, no matter what, it's not going to matter. People are going to just ignore it as if I don't know what the heck I'm talking about, as if I'm not there, as if I'm not the one present, as if I'm not the one administering last rites. I'm the one doing it. You're not. So take it with you. I'm not going to sit here and talk about it all day long. That's what I've seen. If you don't want to believe it, don't believe it. Okay. That's fine. Okay. Yeah, you're right. I just I'm just telling you. Look, I'm not once have I said anything about Democrat or Republican or not. I'm telling you what I have observed. So people are getting all up in arms. I have said only what I observed, and then people don't like it. Well, that's the truth. I mean, I'm only telling you what I observed. So there, it's pretty simple. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to get into the big politics here. Okay, so we'll go say exercise angels help, and it says, yeah. Well, the question is when performing an exorcism, do angels help? And it says, actually, yes. We call there's a prayer that we pray called the Litany of Saints, and so what we do is we chant the saints, we chant the angels, the archangel, the cherubim, seraphim, thrones. We are chanting these angels and chanting the saints because the exorcist is not alone during an exorcism. We call upon them to help and assist us. So we believe that they are standing side by side with us, combating this evil. And the Litany of Saints is quite beautiful. If you've never, if you don't know much about it, so there we go. And again, I'm going to remind everybody again, for those of you who are trolls, I should have said this in the beginning, but I forgot. You're not going to get my attention. So if you're trolling to try to get my attention or to get me roused up, you're going to fail. I'm going to ignore you. I'm just going to ignore you. And the only people's attention that you're going to get is from the moderators, and they're going to block you. So I'm just giving you that. That's a good question, though. Why doesn't God? Yeah, because I don't have time. Life is a very, as a chaplain, I've seen beautiful things, but I've also seen a lot of death. And sometimes I get called out, on emergency situations. And you learn really quickly when you're a chaplain how life can be very fragile. Very fragile. You're here one day, you're fine, you're feeling good, and the next day you really start feeling terrible. And that's it. So I don't have time to waste for people who are toxic and who just want to do nothing but spread hate and nastiness. I just don't have time to deal with them, and I ignore them, and so should you. So where are we? Yeah, mods, where are we? Does oppression lead to possession? That's a good question. Yeah, it does. Like it can. So the question was, let's see, who asked that? That's a good Igor. That's a good question. Does oppression lead to possession? Well, Igor, there are 3 stages when you're dealing with possession. There's demonic infestation, then demonic oppression that can lead to possession. Okay, so here's demonic infestation is when the demon has infested itself within the home. Then their individual is marked. There's an attachment, perhaps, and the demonic is trying to break down the intellect and will of the person. We call this the demonic oppression and demonic obsession. Demonic oppression is when it begins to physically attack you. And then demonic obsession, it is attacking you intellectually. So you can hear it. It's interacting with you. You can hear the voice. And demonic oppression is when it's breaking you down physically, your will. And once the intellect and will of the person is eradicated or very weakened state, then the demonic can take possession of the body. And that's what occurs. So yeah, now what we pray is a prayer. It's a prayer called deliverance. A deliverance prayer is under the stage of oppression. So the individual has an attachment and they're going through oppression, obsession. And we then pray a prayer of deliverance to remove that attachment. Okay, now that is different than a possession, because when the demonic has possession of the body, but it's certainly it's breaking that intellect and will down of the individual. It's a terrible state. It's a process, something that doesn't happen overnight, because you got to think of breaking and biting you, scratching you, pinching you. It's causing extreme sleep deprivation. It's your immune system is being weakened. It is really affecting you physically and intellectually. So, oh, you know what? I have been so busy. Honestly, as soon as I got off the other day, I've been swamped. I'll try to fix the candle on the website. I've got to find that. Attachments. Can we talk about what cause attachments sometimes? Well, yeah, I have, Annabelle. Attachments can occur, for example, and I know there's a lot of people who are just brand new here, and I welcome everybody. So attachments can occur through invitation, or I have seen cases where there were Santeria was placed upon an individual, and actually there was a horrible, vicious incubus case. But let's say you go out and you paranormal investigate. And you know, there's a lot of paranormal investigators. They do this. Is anybody here? Can you make a noise? Can you touch me? Can you push me? That's the invitation. You play with a Ouija board. Invitation. You do anything at all that gives invitation to the demonic, they will take it and they will grab it. And that's the invitation. And once the invitation occurs, then the attachment can occur. But you go into a location, even if you go into a location that's known to be demonically infested, and you still go into that location, but you don't say, is there anything here? Can you touch me? Can you push it? Let's say you don't do that at all. You're just there. The fact that you knew that there was a demonic infestation in that place and you still went, your very presence is a form of invitation. You can't avoid that. You can't avoid that any more than if you jump in the ocean with a bunch of great white sharks. Now, you don't tell the shark, come bite me. You're just there present. And one of the great white sharks says, I'm going to check this out. And then you get bit. If you put yourself in the situation where you're in the presence of a great white shark or sharks, chances are you're probably going to get bit. The same way with the demonic entity. You go into a place that's demonically infested. You don't have to say, hey, demon, do something for me. Push me, whatever, bite me, scratch me, whatever. Your presence, your very mere presence is a form of invitation. And that is something, how do you pray? Well, you got to remember, of course, Jesus taught us to pray the Our Father. I'm very devoted to Mary, so I pray the Rosary. But you have to remember that God is your Father as well. God is your Father in heaven. And communicate. Oh, just open your heart. It's not so much the words, because you can memorize words, and it's kind of got to go on autopilot almost. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be the name of the kingdom come, thy will be done. But it's the intent behind the words. It's speaking from your heart. So speak from your heart. That's how I tell people to start praying. And once you learn that you can have just a conversation with God, but the conversation needs to always be respectful and not on, well, I'm on equal grounds as God. Well, no, you're not. That's where the danger is. See, Maria, you love scuba diving. I would rather deal with demonic infestation, fight with demonic infestation every single day, rather than deal with scuba diving. No way, Jose. No. It is true. The crucifix does, but it will, because that's a sacramental of the church, and that's a form of provocation. Yeah, and people always say, well, why do you? Yeah, let me just address that. We don't worship Mary. Catholics do not worship Mary. The idea, it's just incorrect. We venerate Mary, but we do not worship Mary. Venerate, we honor and we respect, and that's what we should, and I believe we should. So, okay, someone was asking about questions, and well, I've been here since 7 o'clock, so I was going to go through all my list of demonic cases, but we will. I'll get to your questions because I know a lot of people have questions. So there we go. Oh, Earth Radio. I was diving in Monterey Bay, California, in the Philippines. Now, Philippines has a lot of sharks. I think they have a lot of black tips. But Monterey Bay, California, they have quite a few sharks down there. No. I don't think so. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you, Shaza. I see Jaws coming after me. That's it. I'm going to have a heart attack. I'm serious. No question about that. Well, any type of item that is used that you want to remove, the priest will seal. And they should know how to do it. It's a blessing that we can do. I have a lot of haunted items that I have removed from people's homes. And don't burn them. Don't throw them away. Don't bury them. Just say, hey, look, go to your clergy and say, please take care of this. I don't want this in my home anymore, especially if you have activity in your home. Then you definitely need to have your home blessed. Well, yep. Holy water is a sacramental. Blessed salt's a sacramental. Blessed oil. That's right. You rode on the back of a shark diving. Oh, no. That I tell you what. You know what? For some reason, I don't know. I will not swim with anything that I can't see and that has sharper teeth than I do. I'm not going to swim with it. Look, I love sharks. I think they're very important for the ecosystem. I'm all about it. Absolutely. We got to make sure, because at one time, the movie Jaws is loosely based on a true story. Did you guys know? It's many people believe it was a bull shark. It could have been a tiger shark. Probably not, because a bull shark can swim upstream in fresh water. So many people think it was a pretty large bull shark that actually caused the death, because that's actually what happened. Is kids were jumping in this little river that was upstream from the ocean, and this poor kids were attacked. But no, I just, there's something about sharks. I love them. They're important. I get it. I don't want to swim with it. If I can't see it, I don't want to swim with it. No. Yeah. Shadow Killer. I look, the sacrament of reconciliation, for me, I absolutely love. It is very powerful. If you've ever experienced it before, you know what I'm talking about. I administer the sacrament to people, and to individuals who want the sacrament. I receive the sacrament of reconciliation myself. I just think First of all, Jesus instituted the sacrament when he told his disciples to go and sins forgiven, sins that are retained, And I think it's a beautiful sacrament. So I would encourage you to. Oh boy. Yeah. Now tomorrow I have what happened. Well, what happened to consciousness upon death? Well, the belief. I would encourage you, Jody. It says, what happens to consciousness upon death? Is it bad to touch with your skin? A haunted item? I would not mess around with haunted items at all. I just wouldn't do it. There's nothing good that's going to come from it. So I would leave them alone. I just wouldn't. But I will be doing a presentation again. I've done it before on near-death experiences, and I'm going to do a presentation again on that. And I will be presenting, I tell you what, near-death experiences are very, very powerful. As a matter of fact, I had Dr. Jeffrey Long on. Dr. Jeffrey Long is a medical doctor, and he's a world-leading expert on near-death experience. And he actually has the world's largest online near-death experience website. And I've had him on my show before. If you want to go to it, it's ndерf.org. ndерf.org. And I would encourage you to check that out. Now, what I'm going to do is I've had him on my show before, and I'm going to play his responses to some of my questions that I had before, because I know many of you didn't see it or didn't watch it. And that way you can listen to some of the things that he has said, how he, as a doctor, absolutely is convinced without question, that life exists outside of this realm. There are many people who have had near-death experiences. I have had one of them. And I will tell you, there is no doubt in my mind, no doubt whatsoever, that they exist. So apparently consciousness exists outside of death. No doubt about it. My sister, I think Shannon Long 30, she had one. So yeah, I'm telling you, we there's no doubt. But I'll be doing that. I'll be doing that eventually. I do. I believe black magic is summoning evil. That's what you're doing. You're summoning evil. And if you do this, you understand anybody participates in black magic is making a pact with the devil. That's it. No matter what anyone else tells you, no way. If they try to convince you otherwise, they're misleading you. You're making a pact with the devil. Black magic is nothing good. It is evil. The intent is evil. There's no such thing as good black magic. That's like saying I'm half pregnant. Either you are or you're not. It's one or the other. So I'm telling you, there's no such thing as that. And there's a lot of people saying, oh, yeah, you can practice black magic. It's not evil. It's not bad. Okay. And like I said, I'll sell you an ejection seat on a helicopter you can buy. It doesn't work out very well, does it? So, yeah. Well, that's okay. I'm glad you're here. That's a good question about why did Judas take his own life? I think Judas took his own life. Judas was a zealot. You need to remember that. Zealots wanted to overthrow the Roman Empire. They hated Rome. They hated the fact that they were occupied by Rome, and they were convinced and waiting desperately for the Messiah so that they could overthrow the Roman Empire. Because remember, that's what they were always taught. They were always taught since cradle that the Messiah would come, lead a huge army of people, and they would overthrow the Roman Empire. Well, if you're taught that since birth, Judas thought that Jesus is the guy. Jesus is the Messiah. He was the one that's going to bring in this army, and now we're finally going to overthrow the Roman Empire. But then Jesus started talking about laying his life down, and Judas was like, "What in the world? Wait, hold on now. This is not how the story's supposed to go." And I think that there are many theologians, and I can see this, where Judas, remember, he was a zealot, and he was also in charge of the purse, the money. There are many historicists and theologians that actually would say that Judas, by betraying Jesus, thought that he was okay. We got to pick this up a little bit. Come on, let's go. Let's get this war underway. Here's the Messiah. We're ready to fight. Let's go. Jesus, you got a lot of people. A lot of people are talking about you. They'll pick up their swords and they will fight. They'll overthrow the Roman Empire. Let's do it. Jesus was talking about laying his life down, and Judas was like, no. That's not how the story. No. So let's get this going. Many theologians think that Judas betrayed Jesus because he thought that would be the spark to start this war. Now Jesus is being arrested by the big, bad, ugly Romans, and now people are going to got an uproar, and they're going to fight this war with Rome. And then Judas saw Jesus being whipped and beaten severely, and the uproar didn't happen. I think that Judas, now there's a lot of theologians, and I agree with this, I think Judas did love Jesus. And I think after he saw Jesus being destroyed, beaten viciously, that he then realized that he was misled, that the person he loved was being destroyed in front of him. And I think Judas just simply couldn't live with that, live with the mistake that he made. But remember, he was a zealot, and that was his goal. He wanted to follow the Messiah, to overthrow the Roman Empire. And then when he saw the person that he loved, that he thought was the Messiah, being punched in the face consistently and being whipped and flogged, where flesh was hanging off his body, I think Judas realized the mistake. So I think that makes a lot of sense for me historically. And it's certainly, it's a terrible situation, no question about it. So. Well, again, I talked about the consciousness. I talked about consciousness after death. Remember, after death, time and space doesn't exist. So let's see. I have seen The Chosen. Now, I think The Chosen, they have some interesting take on some, on some scenes, but I think The Chosen is a phenomenal show. They really do a great job with it. There's a few things that I think are and that's fine. They're going to have creative licensing, when you're trying to do certain interpretations. But I think The Chosen is just a fantastic show. So I think, yeah, he fell, and that's right. Scripture says he fell into despair. Okay. Underwood Church. Are you a bishop of? I don't Underwood Church. I don't understand what that means. Yeah, I don't know what Underwood Church. You have to explain that one. You can go to the church's website, usocc.org. Prophetic meaning. I mean, Jesus was the innocent lamb, so. The Right, the movie The Right, if you want to watch movies that are based on possession, that are legitimate, no question, The Right, you have to watch. The Right is one of the best movies that actually give you a small glimpse of what it's like to live a life of an exorcist. As a matter of fact, I spoke to the priest that the movie was based on. I had the opportunity to have him on my show, and he was there. I mean, so he actually told them, he was on set, and he explained everything, how it went. And I think it was phenomenal. The Right is one of the best movies. That gives you what I loved about about The Right was that it gives you a different perspective from the Exorcist perspective. And that's what I loved about that. And so I would encourage you, if you haven't seen The Right, okay, thank you very much, Mr. Producer. So if you haven't seen The Right, check that out. Annalise Michel, there was a lot of creative licensing there in some of the episodes, but they tried to do their best by staying to what was actually testified in court as to what happened to her. Annalise Michel, Emily Rose. So there were a lot of things that they tried to recreate based on the testimony of the exorcist in the court. But The Right was no question was probably the best. The movie I have not seen, and some of you are probably going to be, I haven't seen The Nun. I haven't seen it. Now, it's based on a alleged true story. I have not seen the. Is it good? If you've seen The Nun, is it any good? Oh, see? Oh, really? Okay. Well, thank you there, Louise. Yeah, the movie's nuts. Okay, I'm gonna have to check this out. I'm gonna have to check it. Okay, some people say yes, some people say not. It's okay. It was horrible. Oh boy. I'm gonna stay on TikTok for just a little bit. Shannon Long 30. Before I log off, are you gonna go live tonight? We'll see if Shannon Long 30 is gonna go live. And then so Jack's Paranormal says, "This is The Nun movie good." It's okay. No, okay. Well, then I'll stay on for a little bit afterwards there on TikTok. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll stay on afterwards on TikTok for a little bit. But it is. I have not seen it. Maybe I'll have to check it out. Okay, I'm going to remind everybody, for those of you on when you go into your room and close the door and pray to your Father in heaven. That's right, in heaven. Is there a reading in the Bible that says, yeah, well, the whole entire scripture is all about praying to God and having a conversation with God. Everything is, John Paul. For those of you who are on Spreaker, I'm going to have to say, I'm going to have to go. So I'm going to have to say thank you very much for being here. I appreciate those of you on Spreaker. I'm going to remind everybody tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to be going live again, and I'll be doing our fun-filled, exciting night prayer this evening. So I encourage you, please join us. So for those of you on Spreaker, good night. Okay, I'm going to remind all of you, as I do, and I'll be with you guys in TikTok in just a second. Remember, I tell you folks that your value does not decrease based on someone's inability or refusal to see your worth. You are priceless. Never let anybody convince you otherwise. Don't forget, tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to be going live again. And I have a lot of really cool articles that I want to talk to you about. Man, these things are crazy. For KGRADB, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, God bless, and we'll see you guys tomorrow night at 8. Bye-bye. The Sacred Division has been brought to you by Bishop Long's online paranormal course. Learn demonology, angelology, paranormal studies, and genealogy. It's 100% online, and you learn at your own pace. Please go to www.bishopjameslong.com and click on the paranormal course link.